these courses are so efficient. For this part of the talk, as it happens, the guy that actually did the work happens to be in the audience. It's my son Max, and so I'm actually going. He has no financial interest except in making sure that I stay alive. He's just his third year in medical school, so he's going to talk to us about intraoperative confirmation. So Max, just because you're here, and he has an experience of once before giving a talk, so be gentle.
Thank you for the introduction. So yeah, I'm a fourth year medical student at a University College London, and I just arrived in last night and then was told this morning, oh Max, why don't you present the presentations? Sure, okay. So yeah, intraoperative OCT to predict the postoperative vault. So we set out to create a model that could predict the 3-month postoperative vault using intraoperative OCT and an intraoperative vault. And a surgeon would then be able to use this information to help inform whether a case of intraoperative extreme vaulting would require an exchange or not, or if it would reduce postoperatively to a safe value. And this would reduce the need for a second procedure and ultimately reduce postoperative complications, reduce treatment costs, and improve patient satisfaction. So we had 153 eyes in our training set for the model, and we then included 40 eyes for the test set. The preoperative lens sizing was performed using the Reinstein V2 model. The intraoperative vault was measured on an AAO2025-800 microscope, and the postoperative vault was captured on an MS39 OCT scanner. This is how we measure the intraoperative vault. So this is a frozen frame from the AAO2025-800 microscope. And on the right, you can see 2 OCT scans. This is the horizontal plane, this is the vertical plane. And we captured a screenshot and digitally put in a measurement of the vault. This is the yellow arrow shows where we're measuring the vault in this case. And then we compared that to the scale bar on the right, and that gave us our true measurement for the intraoperative vault. And in this case, it was found to be 1,097 microns. This is the same case 3 months later, and you can see that the vault reduced to 818 microns. So, bringing everything together, we found that, consistent with many other studies, there was a reduction in the mean vault postoperatively by 235 microns. This is from the intraoperative state to the 3-month state, and this is consistent with many other studies. However, when we were looking at this plot on the right to individually scout out certain cases, we see that there's this critical value of about 405 microns, where all the cases that were beneath 405 microns intraoperatively increased postoperatively instead of decreasing like the mean does in most cases. So to put simply, the cases which were high intraoperatively came down, and the cases which were low intraoperatively went up. And it was this 405 micron point which seemed to be the midline. So we conducted a multivariate linear regression analysis to assess which variables would be useful in predicting the postoperative vault. And we found that these, CBID, lens size, and STSL, along with the intraoperative vault, were very useful and statistically significant in predicting the 3-month postoperative vault. So putting the coefficients from these variables into a regression equation, we then developed our model and tested our model on a set of 40 eyes and found that the model was able to predict the postoperative vault to within 350 microns of the achieved vault in all of our cases. Comparing this new IOCT intraoperative model to preoperative nomograms that do not include an intraoperative value, we can see that it is much more accurate in predicting the postoperative vault to include intraoperative vault in your formula, which I don't know if it's an entire surprise that you have a value later on that you're able to predict it better. But this is what we found. Intraoperative vault is extremely useful in helping to predict the postoperative vault. So this is how we're now using that information. We have developed a probability tool, and this is how it works. You have your preoperative inputs, CBID, size of lens, sulcus to sulcus. You then input the intraoperative vault during surgery, and it was 780 microns in this case. Then the formula will calculate its prediction for the 3-month postoperative vault along with the 95% confidence interval. And in this case, it was 546 microns was the prediction for the 3-month postoperative vault. And now comes the most important part. You have this range calculator where the user can set boundaries, and the probability tool will then output the percentage chance that something, that the vault stabilizes outside of these boundaries. So for example, I chose an upper vault boundary of 750 microns, and the probability tool then said there would be a 6% chance that the vault would stabilize above 750 microns postoperatively. So if we then take this and put it into practice, we did a leave one out analysis where we selected cases with high intraoperative vaulting, and we obtained the output from this probability tool to see how it would help us. So going case by case, looking at this orange one, the intraoperative measurement was around 850 microns, and the probability tool calculated that there would be a 60% chance that the vault would stabilize above 750 microns postoperatively, which it did. It stabilized around 950. Looking at the next case, this one only had a 7% chance of stabilizing above 750 microns postoperatively, and we saw it come right the way down to beneath 500 microns. So here the model is predicting where the vaults are going to stabilize. Now, interestingly, these two cases here had very similar intraoperative vaults. They were both just under 1100 microns. However, the probability tool was able to accurately predict that the blue case had a higher 53% chance of stabilizing above 750 microns postoperatively, while the yellow case only had a 23% chance. And this was reflected in the outcomes, with the blue vault stabilizing above and the yellow vault stabilizing below. So this probability tool can predict which cases are likely to stay above 750 microns, even if the intraoperative vaults are similar. So to summarize this slide, we're distinguishing the outliers which are safe or safer and are likely to come down, compared to the outliers which are more dangerous and are going to stay above the safe limits. Limitations of this study included a small population of only about 40 eyes. So a future study in our clinic is looking to increase this number. Of course, we've heard about machine learning in this series of talks. So it might be better to use machine learning in the follow-up study to this to improve the accuracy of prediction of our model. But in conclusion, intraoperative OCT is an excellent predictor of the 3-month postoperative vault. And along with our model and the probability tool, a surgeon can be informed as to whether a case of intraoperative extreme vaulting is likely to reduce to a safe level postoperatively, or if it's going to stay high. And that means we can identify cases which would benefit from intraoperative exchange, and this would avoid having to have a second procedure and would improve patient safety outcomes and overall just improve patient satisfaction. So that's about it from me. I'm going to hand back over to Dan for the conclusions. But yeah, thank you.